Before we begin, make sure you hit that subscribe button and join our growing family here on Tales of Truth, where every story is crafted to touch your heart and inspire your soul. Now, tonight's tale takes us to the rainy streets of Manchester, where fate is about to test courage in the most unexpected way. A young metal scrapper named Ethan Cole fights daily to survive, while far across the city, the daughter of a billionaire lives behind walls of luxury and loneliness. Two worlds destined never to meet, until one night of danger changes everything forever. In the outskirts of Manchester, among the rows of crumbling warehouses and railway lines that hummed like restless memories, lived a teenage boy named Ethan Cole. At just 17, he was a metal scrapper, a boy who made his living from what the world had thrown away. Each morning, while others were still asleep in warm beds, Ethan would push his squeaky metal trolley through narrow alleyways, searching for broken bikes, rusted pipes, and scraps of aluminum that could fetch a few pounds at the recycling yard. His hands were rough, his nails blackened by grease, and his clothes smelled faintly of iron and smoke. Yet, behind those tired eyes burned a quiet determination, the kind born from struggle, not choice. He lived with his mother in a small flat above a closed-down bakery. His father, once a factory worker, had died in an industrial accident years ago, leaving Ethan to step into a man's world before he was ready. Life was heavy, but he carried it with pride. He dreamed of becoming an engineer one day, to build machines instead of scavenging their remains. Every bolt, every wheel, every shard of steel he found reminded him of that dream. The neighborhood knew him well, the polite boy who fixed broken radios and mended bicycles for free when he could. Kids followed him sometimes, curious about his collection of strange metal parts. Some adults pitied him, others admired his persistence. But Ethan didn't want pity. He wanted a chance. One opportunity to prove that where you start doesn't decide where you end. The air in Manchester was always cold, carrying the scent of rain and iron. As he looked out each evening over the glowing city skyline, Ethan often whispered to himself, "One day, I'll be more than this." He didn't know how or when, but deep inside, he believed destiny was waiting. Hidden somewhere among the piles of scrap metal he sorted every day. What he didn't know was that fate was already shaping something extraordinary. A night that would test his courage, rewrite his story, and make the world finally see the worth in a boy from the scrapyard. Across the city, in a world far removed from scrapyards and factory smoke, lived Isabella Kensington, the only daughter of Sir Richard Kensington, one of Manchester's most powerful industrial magnates. Their mansion stood high on a hill, overlooking the city lights like a watchtower of wealth and privilege. Isabella's life was the picture of perfection. Private tutors, designer clothes, a future mapped out long before she could choose one for herself. Yet, beneath the luxury, she felt the loneliness of a world too polished to feel real. The walls of her father's estate, lined with security cameras and high fences, kept danger out, but also kept life itself from coming in. She was 18, beautiful and graceful, but her heart was restless. She longed for something genuine, something unfiltered by money or status. Often, when her driver took her through the lower parts of town, she would peer through the tinted windows, watching the people who worked with their hands, who struggled yet smiled, who lived each day with grit and purpose. In them, she saw a freedom she didn't have, the freedom to dream without limits, to love without expectations. Sir Richard loved his daughter deeply, but his empire came first. He built factories, funded charities, and shook hands with politicians, yet he rarely took time to truly see the world his wealth had created. He wanted Isabella safe, untouched by the ugliness of the streets, but fate was already weaving a story that would soon pull her right into it. One evening, as rain swept across the city, Isabella attended a charity gala at her father's newest automobile showroom. The night was filled with laughter, champagne, and the hum of expensive cars gleaming under bright lights. But when the event ended and she insisted on returning home early, without her father's full security detail, the quiet ride through Manchester's dark streets would change everything. Somewhere out there, pushing his metal trolley under the same rain, Ethan Cole was still gathering scrap. Neither of them knew it yet, but in a few hours, their worlds would collide. Violently, fatefully, and forever. The rain fell harder that night, drumming against the roof of Isabella's car as it rolled through the quiet industrial district. Her driver, Mark, gripped the wheel tightly, his eyes narrowing through the downpour. The wipers screeched rhythmically, pushing away streaks of rain, revealing flickers of dim streetlights and shuttered shop fronts. Suddenly, Out of the shadows, two black motorcycles swerved into the road, blocking their path. Mark hit the brakes, the tires screeching as the car skidded to a stop. Within seconds, masked men appeared, 4 of them armed and shouting. Panic filled the air. Out! Out of the car, now! One of them barked, pounding on the window with a pistol. Isabella froze. Her heart raced as Mark tried to reverse, but a shot shattered the back tire, jolting the car violently. The robbers surrounded them, their faces hidden beneath soaked hoods. One yanked the door open, grabbing Isabella's arm. She screamed, trying to pull free. Her jewelry and bag were all they wanted, or so she thought. But when one of them sneered, "She's the Kensington girl, worth more than gold," fear turned to horror. Across the street, beneath a flickering lamppost, Ethan was there. Soaked, cold, and pushing his trolley of metal scraps. He saw everything. His instincts screamed at him to hide, but his heart refused. Without a thought for his own safety, he grabbed a rusted iron rod from his trolley and sprinted toward the chaos. As one of the robbers pulled Isabella from the car, Ethan swung the rod with all his strength, striking the man's arm. The gun clattered to the ground. Another robber turned, aiming his weapon, but Ethan hurled a metal pipe that hit him square in the chest. In the confusion, Mark managed to slam the car door shut and speed away, leaving Ethan behind. The robbers, furious and disoriented, fled as police sirens echoed in the distance. Ethan stood trembling, his breath fogging in the cold air, rain washing the blood from a cut on his forehead. For a brief moment, he looked down the empty road where the car had vanished, unaware that his act of courage had just rewritten his destiny. When Ethan woke up the next morning, the world was a blur of white walls and quiet beeping sounds. His head throbbed, his arm was bandaged, and the faint scent of antiseptic filled the air. For a moment, he thought he was dreaming, until a soft voice spoke beside him. "You're awake." He turned his head slightly and froze. Sitting beside his hospital bed, dressed in a simple cream coat, was Isabella Kensington. Her eyes, once filled with fear, now held warmth and gratitude. For a second, neither spoke. The only sound was the rain still tapping against the window, as if the city itself was holding its breath. "You saved my life," she said finally, her voice trembling. Ethan blinked, unsure how to respond. "Anyone would have done the same," he murmured, but she shook her head gently. "No," she said. "Everyone else ran." Those words hit him harder than any blow from the night before. He tried to sit up, but she quickly stopped him. "Rest, please. You're safe now." Later that afternoon, the door opened again, this time to reveal a tall man in an expensive gray suit, Sir Richard Kensington. His expression was unreadable at first, his polished shoes silent against the hospital floor. He looked at the boy lying there, the son of no one important, and then at his daughter, safe and unharmed. "You're the one who saved my daughter?" he asked in a low, measured voice. Ethan nodded nervously. The older man paused, then stepped forward and extended his hand. "You didn't just save her," he said, his voice softening. "You saved me too." Within days, Ethan's story spread across Manchester. Newspapers called him the brave scrapper boy and the teen hero from the yard. Reporters gathered outside the hospital, and strangers sent him letters of thanks. Yet through it all, Ethan remained humble. He didn't see himself as a hero. He had simply done what his heart told him was right. Still, fate had other rewards waiting. Sir Richard, deeply moved, paid all of Ethan's medical bills and invited both him and his mother to dinner at their mansion. It was a night Ethan would never forget. The mansion felt like another world. Chandeliers glittered above, portraits lined the walls, and the scent of roses filled the air. But what struck him most was Isabella's smile. She greeted him not as a savior or charity case, but as a friend. Over time, the Kensingtons became part of Ethan's life. Sir Richard discovered the boy's passion for machinery and offered him a scholarship to study mechanical engineering, a dream Ethan had long buried beneath years of hardship. "You have a gift," the man said one evening. "Let's see what it can build when it's given a chance." Months passed, and Ethan worked harder than ever. His natural brilliance shone, earning him awards and respect from professors and peers alike. Isabella often visited, her friendship with Ethan deepening into something unspoken yet undeniable. They laughed together, studied together, and shared quiet moments beneath the old oak tree in the Kensington garden. She admired his humility. He admired her kindness. What started as gratitude slowly bloomed into love, a love that ignored class, background, or wealth. Sir Richard noticed it, of course. At first, he worried, not because he doubted Ethan's worth, but because he feared the world's judgment. But one evening, as he watched Ethan repairing one of his classic cars with precision and care, he saw in the boy the same hunger and honesty he had lost long ago chasing wealth. He smiled quietly to himself. "If this is the man my daughter chooses," he said later to his wife, "then I know she'll be safe." Years later, Ethan graduated at the top of his class. With Sir Richard's mentorship, he founded his own engineering company, one that turned discarded scrap metal into affordable, eco-friendly machines. His business grew, but more importantly, his story inspired countless others. And through it all, Isabella stood by him, not as the billionaire's daughter, but as the woman who believed in the boy who once pushed a trolley through the rain. When they finally married, it wasn't in a grand cathedral, but in a quiet garden behind the same hospital where they first met. The air was filled with flowers and sunlight, and as Ethan took Isabella's hand, he whispered, "You saw me when the world didn't." She smiled and replied, "You saved me before I even knew you." Their love, born from courage, strengthened by gratitude, and forged in destiny, became a story that Manchester would never forget.